Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Champions of Self podcast. My name is Ben Eden, your host, and I'm excited to welcome our guest today, Kelley Hoag. She is a behavioral transformation advisor. Did I get that right?
I call myself a behavioral health advisor, but I like what you said even better.
There you go. Well, good. Kelley, how are you today?
I'm good. It's so beautiful out. Like the wind is blowing in and it's nice.
Very nice. We like good days like that.
Yeah.
So, Kelley, let's get started by you telling us who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am Kelley Hoag. I am a behavioral health advisor and the founder of Root to Rise Health. So I use behavior change and integrative health to help men and women create alignment and sustainable healthy habits.
Very good. And as I talk about with a lot of people, what made you get into all of this? I mean, why are you so passionate about it?
So I was always pretty healthy growing up. You know, my dad made all our food and it was super healthy and no one wanted to come play date at my house because I had like carrot sticks for snacks and not done fruit, which I'm grateful for now. But so this was always a passion of mine and I was always really passionate about psychology. My parents put me in therapy when I was in the first grade. So I'd always been fascinated by psychology and human behavior. So I got my bachelor's in psych and then my master's in behavior analysis, and was working with kids with developmental disabilities for a while, using ABA, applied behavior analysis, and my love and my passion for behavior. But I realized that all the education that I was learning could be applied to habit change and health. And I felt like it was really addressing behaviors in this way was the missing link to creating healthy, sustainable habits. So I quit that job, moved back home to New York, and went through the certification of becoming an integrative health coach. And in doing so, lost touch with myself entirely. The irony is hilarious, but I was just inundated with so much information and so much noise and so many shoulds. And I was trying to do it all that I ended up losing touch with my intuition, thinking my body was like my enemy rather than my ally. I gained a bunch of weight. I got an eating disorder. I hated myself pretty much. And I was like, okay, well, you're trying to make a job and a career out of helping people through exactly what you're doing. So you better use this situation and figure out how you're going to get yourself out of it. So, I mean, looking back now, it was a blessing and I'm grateful because I'm now able to serve my clients and show up for them in a really authentic way because I've been there. But that's how Root to Rise was birthed.
There you go. I like it. Thank you. Now, you've probably heard the phrase turning your mess into a message. I don't know if you can relate with that, but it sounds like what you were saying of while you were going to school and you lost touch with yourself, all these things happened. And yet you had this thought, hey, if I'm going to help people with this, then, now I have a way to relate with them. Is that right?
Yeah.
When we were talking the other day, we were, obviously you do a lot with behavior. And so tell us how that relates to emotions. What have you found with the people you're working with and you yourself, how people's behavior that everybody can see relates to the emotions that people can't see?
Yes, such a good question, because when I was doing all this behavior work, I really thought that what was missing was all the internal, right? Our overt behaviors are what we can see, what we can measure, what we can get data on, what we can observe. But what's driving that is our covert behaviors, our emotions, our like shadowy icky bits, our limiting beliefs, our dimming of our own light and playing small. So you can't even begin to address the behavior without addressing the emotions. So a lot of what I do is gaining clarity and using, the evidence-based practice of behavior analysis, but not without also addressing the shadow and the limiting beliefs and what's going on internally so that we can, make behavior changes that are going to last, that are actually true to who you are and what you need.
Yeah. I think we're gonna cut to the chase kind of early here. So hopefully that's okay with you.
Yes.
Can we start with an example from your life, and then maybe we can work with some examples you have with your clients? But an example of your life where you learned that, I was turning to these behaviors in an effort to hide my covert emotions.
Yeah. So I struggled with binge eating. That was really a hard thing for me. And I didn't even realize that it was like a disorder until I'm Googling like, I need help. And it is a thing. So I was basically restricting myself throughout the day because I felt like I needed to be this amazing picture perfect version of what a healthy human is. Because I was like, what the job that I was creating was to be this picture of health. So I would restrict myself and I would do like these crazy diets and I would do cleanses and I would try to be perfect. So at the end of the day, I was like, oh my God, I've restricted myself, and I would just overeat and overeat and overeat until I felt sick. And I felt so out of control. And I was like punishing myself because I didn't like myself. And partially I was restricting all day and just then catapulting myself into binging at night. So that was dark.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I tried so many things to like stop myself, but they were all band-aids. And that is why I think both using your intuition, but also knowing how behavior works is what really makes a change and makes a difference. Because I was like, okay, I know like I can put up a post-it on the fridge that says, like don't open, or I can set an alarm on my phone to stop eating. But these are all band-aids. Like it's not addressing what's happening internally at all. I need to build the trust within myself and make decisions that were aligned with like what my body actually needed to make a difference, to make a change, to stop binging. And to also stop being just obsessed with health too, which was another situation called orthorexia, just being obsessed with eating healthy. So it was a combination of the two.
Okay. So you're saying that, I forget what you called it, orthorexia, is that right? Being obsessed with healthy eating, that can also be a way of, let's say, improperly dealing with emotions. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's kind of a form of control.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And so you're saying that, and I'm just trying to make sure I understand, you had some emotions that you were dealing with, some of the, hey, I'm trying to teach health, therefore I need to be the perfect example. And that's what caused you to eat the way that you did, / maybe you had feelings of I'm not good enough yet to do what I'm doing. Or am I accurate so far?
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of imposter syndrome. There was just nervousness about how ungrounded my life was. Like I felt like I was on this perfect track, right? Like I got the internship and the degree and the promotion in the office and then quit and moved back home and was like waitressing. And I felt very like confused about my life. I didn't like the person that I was in my relationship. So there was a lot of stuff bubbling that I wasn't dealing with. And I was simply band-aiding and saying like, hey guys, look at my smoothie bowl on Instagram, and that was like my cover up. When in reality, I was like 6 bowls of peanut butter and chocolate chips deep at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, that brings up 2 interesting questions. So often maybe we look to validation from external sources, like our title or our office. And if that's taken away from us, then we look for other ways of validation to still look good in front of other people. And that's where the Instagram posts and the healthy eating and everything comes in. Is that right?
Yes, so true. Yes.
And then you had mentioned a couple times in your story of eating, it was often at night that you would either catch up with, the food that you hadn't eaten, or you just binge right then. Have you learned anything about why that might occur at night? What lesson we can learn about that?
Well, for me, and what's common is that we are so rigid throughout the day, right? We're like, okay, I have my breakfast and I meal preps and I have my lunch and it's great and it's veggies and it's healthy and all the things. And then we get to the end of the day and we've done all that, right? We've like had the great breakfast and lunch and dinner and like the cup of almonds and it's all great. And now through restriction, not only like potentially calorically restricted ourselves, but emotionally restricted ourselves from what our body really wants. At the end of the day, we're like, oh my God, like I screw it. Because when we follow these plans that are not in tune with who we are and are coming from external sources, like for me, I was following, I was counting my calories because I thought I should. And I was following like meal plans because I thought I should, but it wasn't what I actually wanted, what I need, what my body was asking for. So at the end of the day, I was trying to overcompensate. I was trying to fill a void of like self-loathing. I was trying to literally eat more, like I needed more calories. And I was also trying to feel fulfillment from the foods that I really wanted. Like so often I just wanted like a bowl of ice cream, but I would avoid that at all costs. So I would have like yogurt with sprinkles, or I would have like, oh, I'll have some berries. That's sweet. But I would eat and eat it. And it wasn't filling that void, because you can't have enough of what you don't need. Right. And what I needed truly was emotional help, and also probably the bowl of ice cream.
Wow. I really like what you said there, but you can never get enough of what you don't need. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. I think one more question on this subject before we move into some cool tools that you have on your website. Is there anything else you can tell us about the emotions that...
So sorry.
That's all right. Somebody else wanted to get in on this too. This is good. Anything else you can tell us about what you went through and the emotions that you experienced? Because what you just told us is very valuable for the listeners of what they're reaching out to. And so what we want to finish this subject with is trying to label it with an emotion. Okay, I was looking for a Band-Aid, but what was I trying to cover? What did I need to heal?
There's so many things that it could be that were, I call it, I refer to, like, the umbrella term is your shadow, is what I refer to it as. And some people might have heard that before, maybe not, but it's the things that's holding us back. So it could be that you're not letting yourself just enjoy life, or maybe you're dimmed by like embarrassment, or you're dimmed by negative self-talk, or there's these limiting beliefs that like your parents have instilled in you, or something like transformative or traumatic happened in your life that still you're holding on to. So to uncover whatever that is, and it's typically very specific, but there's also themes. Uncovering that is when like the true alignment happens, because that's when we're able to build our self-trust, build our intuitive muscle, and then live and act in accordance with it. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a lot of repressed stuff about just like not liking myself and the decisions that I was making. It was a lot of comparison. It was a lot of like attachments to expectations of like, here I am, I've lived here and I've lived there and I've moved and I'm so independent and I've had this great job and all these things, but then I was completely thrown off track, and I'm like working like at waitressing, which was just not part of the plan that everyone saw me on, that I saw myself on, that my parents saw me on. So yeah, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of attachments to expectations. There's a lot of the way that we're brought up, and our society is constantly like making women specifically feel the need to feel smaller, and men need to be like bigger. So it's really interesting to dive in deeper into that, and to realize how our behaviors are aligned with it, for better or for worse.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. For the listeners, something we often do in these episodes is what I like to visualize as having a splinter or a sliver, whatever you call it, a little piece of wood that gets in your hand. And it's important to, like Kelley is saying, that we don't just put a Band-Aid on it and hope it heals, but that we have to take that tweezer and get that little piece of wood out. And once we do, our body is designed to heal, and now it has the ability to do so. And that's why we go into depth of what was the emotion, why did we feel that way, what are things we turn to, what are types of Band-Aids that we use, all to the point that you as a listener can say, okay, that makes sense why I do this. Or Kelley totally understands, and maybe I can reach out to her later, whatever the case may be, to make you know that you're not alone, and then there is something better that you can do. And that's what we're going to jump into right now. Kelley on her website has some super awesome things. We're going to go through 4 of them. First one is where she says, I strengthened my intuition to elevate and then maintain my mental clarity. So Kelley, you wrote the website. What does that mean? What can you tell us about it?
This is going to be difficult to sum up, because it's also an ongoing process. It's something that, you know, as humans, we're always evolving, and we're always like strengthening that muscle and searching for clarity. But I was so outside of myself for so long, and adhering to expectations and outside sources, and not listening to what I actually needed, what my body wanted, what like my soul wanted. That communication with my soul was closed off entirely for most of my life, because we're just not taught how to open that up and have that line of communication. We're not taught to listen to our intuition. We're taught to like be in a pack, be in a herd, and like follow the societal norms. So my journey towards mental clarity, that is always evolving, like I said, came from strengthening my intuition, because I'm able to think about things more 360 rather than just like life is happening to me. All these bad things are happening to me. I'm bad. Like I messed up. Rather than saying like, I'm on a path and my body is constantly course correcting to get me in alignment with that path. So once I tune in, I'm able to make decisions from my gut, from like my intuitive pings and pulls. That is when I'm living in alignment. And that's when I'm able to be mentally clear. And on a very more concrete example, when a client comes to me and they're like, I want to work out every day and it's really stressing me out that I can't like get myself to do it. It's bringing me like a lot of anxiety. I feel bad about myself. Like I feel fat. I feel like disappointed. No one needs to work out every single day. No one needs to join. You don't need to join a gym if you hate going to the gym. You don't need to run if you hate running. Like what I teach them is to tune in and notice, what do you really need? Like, what are you craving? What does your body want from an internal place rather than a should? And sometimes we're like, I would really love to move my body and I love walking and I want to just walk like 3 days a week for 30 minutes. And that would make me feel really fulfilled and proud, you know? So just meeting yourself where you're at and understanding like your body's telling you what you need. You just need to listen.
I love that. That was so valuable. I'm telling you, before this, you and I spoke and I'm like, I have a feeling this is going to be a good episode to have you on. And just that part right there, I think is gold. So thank you. And I like what you said about, we're just not taught how to listen to our soul and to our body and what emotions mean. And when we try to be part of the herd, as it were, it's almost like the blind leading the blind, because nobody else has been taught, or everybody's body is different anyway. So there's no one size fits all, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. So that was number one. Number two is my positive relationship with food. I thought that wording was good, because a lot of times, like you were saying, is if I want the ice cream, then I just train my brain, or try to train my brain to say, no, I can't have the ice cream. I can never have the ice cream, yada, yada. But it's not a problem to have ice cream. It's just your relationship with it, why you're doing it. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead. Tell us more about that. Positive relationship with food.
Yeah. So it's interesting. As I said before, I had a positive relationship with food. I felt like a healthy, active person, and I really didn't think too much about it. And I ate what I wanted to eat, and there weren't really many repercussions because I wasn't doing anything to any extreme until I went through the coursework to become a health coach, and was just, 1 week it was about being keto. 1 week it was about meditating for an hour. 1 week it was like, eat these plants, but don't eat these ones. And these plants are going to poison you, and eat meat and don't eat meat. And I was like, oh my God, like what is the right answer? And I was doing everything. I was trying all of it. And I was like telling myself, I need to try it all to be able to speak to it from experience to my clients. But in reality, it was just driving me absolutely insane. And I was doing like cleanses and doing all these crazy, like, adaptogens and taking pills and doing the supplements and all these things. And I remember someone asked me like, oh, you've been taking that for a few months now. Do you notice a difference? How does it feel? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I'm not in tune with my body at all to notice any difference in anything. So I remember I started this journey of like intuitive eating, I guess you can call it, being in touch with my body and noticing what my body needs and eating that way, by creating a nourish and deplete chart. So what are the foods, what are the things that I'm putting in my body that are really feel nourishing to me? And what are the things that deplete me? So like nourishing would be like a spinach makes me feel nourished. Peanut butter makes me feel depleted. It just doesn't like feel good in my body. Berries make me feel nourished, but like eggs make me feel depleted. So I started to notice how foods are actually affecting me, and it gave me kind of framework for like what my body is saying and how it's responding to foods. And from there, I started to like build that trust. And now I'm at the place where I don't think about it. There's no guilt at all. I eat when I'm hungry, and I eat what I look at the fridge and say like, what do I want right now? And I go from that place. And I feel blessed that I was able to build that muscle and strengthen it, because I know that eating and being in a cycle of like diet and restriction and binging and overeating and guilt and like punishment is so common. So yeah, like learning these tools is really a gift that kind of sets you free from yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well done. Okay, number 3, my positive oh, sorry, we just said that one. My empowering morning routine. What can you tell us about that?
I'm a big fan of morning routines. I just personally, my morning really sets me up for success and is like a make or break situation for me. And it's interesting because in the beginning, like I said, I thought I had to do all these things in the morning to be this enlightened human. So like meditating for 20 minutes and not having coffee, but having tea or like some herbal tonic and having my supplements and journaling and walking and listening to something calming. And it was just like, oh, I don't have enough time for this. And none of this even feels that good. So I basically narrowed it down to like my non-negotiables. What makes me feel good in the morning? What actually makes a difference? What moves the scale for me in the morning? And that changes. In the past, it was movement. Like right away, I would work out and that's what I needed. Lately, I've been going a lot slower. And in the morning, I wake up and I meditate. I listen to like a 6 to 10 minute meditation. That's an app on or a podcast that I love. And then I journal. And sometimes it's like 2 sentences. Sometimes it's 2 pages like it was this morning. But it's interesting because I hated journaling. Like that was one of the things that I felt like was a should. And I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm scared. I don't want anyone to read this. I don't want to really see what comes up. But we evolve. And something that I need right now is journaling and is getting my thoughts out on paper. And it's been so nourishing for me. And then I definitely drink a heaping cup of coffee in the morning. I drink my water, I take my probiotics, but my non-negotiables are the meditation and the journaling right now. And I'm sure that will evolve as well. But I think how you start your day really sets you up in terms of like your mindset. So I would say pick your non-negotiables and play with it a little bit. See what's actually making a difference for you. And you don't have to force anything. Like if meditation is just not your vibe, you don't have to meditate. If you're like, I would love a walk in the morning while I like call my sister, like maybe that's your thing. But there is grounding in the rituals of a morning routine, I think. So I'm a big fan of morning routine.
Very nice. Yeah, I went to a conference this weekend, a virtual conference. They were talking about priming. We can prime our own body or we can be primed by something else. So if we wake up and we let the social media notifications and the news and the distractions and the stresses of everything affect us first thing in the morning, then we're going to be primed for stress the entire day, aren't we? But like you're saying, is if we choose things that are going to make us feel good and prime us in a way that we can face the day on our own terms, then that's huge for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So I like what you said. Also, what you were saying is you mentioned a list of possibilities, but we don't have to do all of them. And like you're saying, as we evolve, maybe that list will change. So we don't need to feel guilty about that. So maybe an option is that they could create a list of things that you said and then choose from the list and not feel that they need to do all of it. So that's a good idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Try things out is really the only way that you're going to know how something feels. And for me, especially with meditation, it was like such a cyclical thing of me like trying to do a long meditation, trying to like build a streak in meditation and trying to like do it perfectly. And then I would stop for a month and hate it. And now it's like the pressure is off and I just listen to this easy guided thing. So I think that's an important thing to include also is like there's so many types of everything too. Like there's different types of movement, there's different types of meditation, there's different types of like tuning into your breath. So it's not one size fits all. Just because I like to start my day with meditation and journaling doesn't mean that that's what should be your non-negotiable.
I will say something about those two though, how powerful they are. The meditation time is the time to allow yourself to listen to your body and align yourself to your body, which most of us don't take the time to do. And that's why we don't understand what's going on. And then the journaling, even though we have those uncomfortable moments, like you said, it's like, well, I don't want to know what I feel. And I don't want the chance of anybody else seeing it. But the fact that we're getting it out of our body in a way that we can then understand and we can see the piece of wood that we took out of our wound, like the sliver or splinter, that's so good for the rest of the day. Then instead of our day being passed with the body fighting these internal emotions or energy you've released what needs to come out, and now you can move forward a more whole and more aligned person. I like this.
Exactly. And to that point as well, when people are always like, okay, how do I get in touch with my intuition? It's through creating space. Through creating space to be able to open that line of communication. So yes, exactly. Like you said, the meditation, the slowing down in the morning is that for me, but it could be like attaching breath and gratitude before a meal or at the end of the day, like a reflection of some sort, but we need to have space to go within and to even open up in that way, to be able to slow down and understand, hear what our body's even saying, let alone act on it. So yes, I agree.
Very good. And this final thing on here, you said, my love for movement. Again, I like the wording here. Sometimes we're afraid of the word exercise. So I don't know if you did that on purpose, but our love for movement. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So same time where I was going through the orthorexia and the binge eating and the self-hatred, I was exercising twice a day, where I was going to the gym in the morning and doing like an hour of cardio. And then I was coming back later and doing strength training. And I was like, why am I gaining weight? Like, what's happening? Something's wrong with me. And it became this really toxic thing. So I shifted away from using the word exercise and made it more intuitive. And what felt good to me was using the word movement, because movement is the catalyst to change. We have to move to change. And so movement could be anything. It could be going for a walk, it could be going for a run, it could be doing yoga, it could be stretching, it could be strength training, it could be Pilates. Like there are so many different forms of movement. Whereas exercise has this connotation of like something hard and that's like punishment and that we have to do, whereas movement is more nourishing and makes us feel a bit more grounded and like we're doing something for us. So my relationship with movement and exercise has really shifted from being something that was punishing. Like I would go out to gym the night before and then the next day be like, oh, well, I got to sign up for a spin class to, you know, work that off. And now being like, I don't remember the last time I did an actual workout, but I move my body every single day. Like I go for a walk or, and sometimes I'm really craving like a strength training heavyweight workout and I'll do that. But when we get so rigid about what we think we should be doing or what we think we need, and it's like, I need to lift weights every day. It's like, what if we tuned in and our body's actually going through a period of needing to go slow or needing, like last night I was like, I'm going to go for a run. And I was, which is a new thing for me, never in a million years thought I'd be a runner. And I tuned in and I was like, actually, I don't want to go for a run at all. I'm going to go walk to this little spot and read my book. And that's going to feel way more nourishing to me. I'm still moving, but it's just in a way that feels better for me.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So in summary, the 4 things we just talked about. Elevate. Well, I strengthened my intuition to elevate and then maintain my mental clarity. That was number 1. And I know I don't normally read anything during these podcasts, but I found these important. 2nd is my positive relationship with food. 3rd, my empowering morning routine. And 4th, my love for movement. What I have been taught as a speaker and coach in this business is that there's no one right way to do speaking and coaching. And I've taken that to heart, especially because I'm a God-fearing man and I believe that God has asked me to do what I'm doing. And so therefore I will work with him and I'll do it his way. So it's comforting to me that I can listen to others and learn from others, but I don't have to feel stuck to their way. And it's kind of what you're saying of, if a listener is hearing these things and saying, yeah, a bunch of great ideas, good, we want to give you hope. If on the other hand, you're saying, oh, there's so many good ideas, I'm a little overwhelmed, what can I do? Well, first of all, realize the big message that we're trying to say today is be aligned with your body, listen to what your body needs. And then there's the chance of what Kelley and I do is coaching, right? If you want to work with one of us and say, what's a personal plan that we can develop with you? And Kelley, I'm sure this is your way of doing things as well. We don't necessarily get on the phone and we say, this is what you're going to do. We listen to you and help you discover what you already know you need to do. Is that right?
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, thank you. This has been very good. Kelley, anything you'd like to share with them or the listeners to end this episode?
No, I mean, I'm here, my website, and you can book a free call with me and we can chat this out. But I just want to emphasize exactly what you said. Like what I do is putting the power into, you know, my clients' hands. And that's some of the best feedback that I've gotten. When I get that feedback, I'm like, oh, yes, because it's, you already have it. You already have everything that you need. You already have it. Right. We just feel like, I think about it in terms of like a big slab of marble, right? And we just need to chip it away so that the beautiful sculpture comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but thank you for having me. This was amazing. This is like my own therapy session.
Well, I'm glad. So Kelley, how can people reach out to you and connect with you on social media?
My website is roottorisehealth.com. And from there is everything you need to know, including how to book that call. And then my Instagram is just at roottorisehealth, the same thing.
Perfect. Thank you again, Kelley, and thank you everybody for listening to another episode of the Champions of Self podcast, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you.